Hi there, people. This is Spray Love, and I'm going to talk about something else than fragrances. The channel was supposed to be about tons of different things, but it mostly got into fragrances. But I love fragrances. But anyway, let's talk about a more serious topic, and this is the present. There's this whole thing around YouTube. If you've been into like fitness YouTube in general, there's this whole idea that the present generation is doomed because of the impending steroids epidemic. And what do I think about that? I wanted to just state my point of view on different things. Um, and I've like I consume a lot of fitness YouTube videos. I think it's a good motivation, keeps me going to the gym, trying to eat more healthy and stuff like that. And just wanted to touch on the whole should big influencers um, promote the use of anabolic steroids and what does it like what does it do for us ordinary mortals looking at Instagram and at videos and seeing all these wonderful jacked physiques that we see on the internet and should they stop should we just ban this stuff and just follow people that are more attainable, stuff like that. So I have a perspective on this that I think is I always caution people to act with moderation and to think with moderation too. I think that there's a very good point that people are making that some uh, fitness influencers they are saying to people like, no, don't use steroids and whatever, but they use them themselves. Is that like a hypocrisy? I don't think it is that much. Most of the fitness influencers were against the use of steroids, but admit to having taken steroids to achieve what they achieved, are very transparent about most of the bad things that could happen while using steroids and why they were using steroids without saying it's a good or a bad reason. Um, and I think they are a great source of information on fitness in general because they still have their fitness journey and they still know what they're talking about on various levels. So, I'm gonna talk on my part. This uh, on my part, like my present like fitness journey, I had like one 6 years ago, but I was way too intense and got hurt and stuff like that. But nowadays, like in the last years, I started like another fitness journey myself, trying to get more healthy, more fit, without going crazy about it, and sometimes it was better, sometimes it was worse, but I still, yeah, wanted to make progress over time, and I did make progress over time, so it's very fun. Um, but the point is, what started the whole journey was I was watching movies and I was a wreck at the time. It was the COVID, it was a pandemic, and I was watching a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger with one of my friends, and I was like, oh, yeah, this guy is so jacked. He's a steroids user, obviously, and Mr. Olympia and stuff like that. But then again, I saw that he like had published an encyclopedia of bodybuilding, and I was like, oh, seems interesting. I wanted to get out of drinking too much alcohol and stuff like that, so I was looking at fitness, but didn't know where to start. So I got the encyclopedia of bodybuilding from Arnold, and then began my journey because I learned the tips. I learned to like bodybuilding and stuff like that, and at some point, uh, just looking better myself and not aiming to be at this level of muscularity and conditioning, but just I just wanted to look better using the same kind of techniques that were advertised in that book at first. And that for people that know, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a big advocate on volume, so everything was done with a lot and not a lot of like lots of volume, progressively adding volume over time. Uh, for sure, like I don't have time to do that much volume, but it was a good starting point. Just knowing the basics, just knowing, having some idea, like something to hold on to, and then afterwards being like, oh, there's all these fitness YouTubers. There's Athlean X, and there's Greg Doucette, and there's Jeff Nippert, and there's whatever, and just discovering this whole new world of different physiques and different different approaches and learning about the history of it all and the history of bodybuilding and knowing, oh, there's this Mike Mentzer guy that only did 1 set per week of each body part, and then seeing all the backlash he's got, but also the fans that he has, and what could we do with all this information, and find something that works for you. And I found things that worked for me, but that would be another separate video. But what I wanted to say about that was that even though some of those people used steroids or had like unattainable physiques, some of them are natural, but are like, whoa, could I even look like that one day? Even though I'm working out and stuff, it's like very hard to believe that I could look like that, and genetic outliers and stuff like that. But this is not meant to put us like mere mortals down. It is like made just to sh- see like their way and their way of thinking and what got them there, which we can apply to ourselves at various levels. And like I said, at various levels, you can see like Atley X and be like, oh my God, Jeff Cavalier is so ripped and he's natural. And then you end up knowing that he eats carrot cake once every year, and that's one of the only desserts he allows himself. And you're like, I would never be like that. You don't have to be like that. You can be at a various degree on the spectrum of being like that. Just doing some interesting changes to your routine, to your life, to the way you eat and everything. Um, and it's might help you, it might not, but you need to try to find something that's worthwhile and that you can do for all your life. And this is the training and the nutrition too, without going into, oh, is this guy like on something. It's interesting to know that some people are like, they're very adamant about not being on steroids, but they're obviously on steroids. And then it's nice to have like some degree of expectation. I will never look like Michael Hearn, because the guy is obviously on something. And if he's not, he's such a genetic outlier that there's no one on earth that could look like that, at this age, at this whatever, this level of fitness and leanness and everything. And I think he has like more discipline than I do also, and most of us do. But it's also like having the expectations that some people, like, their physiques are unattainable. They're like a kind of a work of art, in some capacity. If I see like pictures of Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was competing in bodybuilding, I'm like, wow, man, this guy looks awesome. He looks like a monster. He's like super big, but he's kind of aesthetic too. But it's like a sculpture, like a Greek god like sculpture. And if you see like Conan the Barbarian and stuff like that, you're like, oh my God, this guy is amazing. And then on the other end of the extreme, if you see Ronnie Coleman, and you're like, this guy could almost not be qualified as a human being. He's so like super jacked and like muscular, and muscles popping everywhere and stuff like that. But do we really want to look like that? not necessarily on the day-to-day side of things. Some people probably would, but not me, you know. And even like you see I don't know, like some fitness influencers that are like just completely amazing and they look so good, you know, and they're super aesthetic and the muscle, like the beach muscles and the whatever. But you know, at some point they are them and they sacrifice a lot in their lives to get there, to actually look like that. Do you would like to look like that if you could have a very lenient and undisciplined life, you know? But would you really like to do as much effort as they do to look like that and as much sacrifice they must do to look like that? Because sometimes you're like, oh my god, this fitness influencer, he must get all the girls, you know, he's like super muscular and lean and stuff like that. Well, you do have to remember then that someone who's very lean and very muscular is probably also like having a very low libido and will not perhaps really want to anyways because he needs to maintain that look and you know he gets someone on a date and he eats like super boring food that are like very low in calorie and stuff like that. This is not the life most people want. So I do caution against thinking that this is like, oh, I should look like this. And also like these people take steroids, you know, that costs a lot of money. It's it it damages their health. It takes years of their lives. It's like there's so many downsides to actually taking steroids that you don't take into account. You know, you're like, oh, I want that physique. I want to look good on the beach. Yeah, well, you could look very good on the beach and not be that super jacked, like veins popping, whatever. And also, do people really think that this is like if you would see those people, like they have photos of them, and you're like, this is amazing. Like, oh, you must get all the girls. Do you really think that if you see those people on the beach, would they look that good? Probably not. They're on the best angles, the best lighting, the best situation possible, and the fact is their physiques are good because they are very like they have a lot of definition. There's lots of little things like the veins popping, like the extreme leanness and stuff like that, which is very impressive and very nice on photography. But is it really nice to see it live? Yeah, like like you would probably think that person is sick or something, probably more than, oh my god, this guy is so sexy. You would probably say like, this guy's got muscles and stuff, but he looks kind of sick, you know, he doesn't look healthy, you know, he look. And even if, you know, that's the thing, even if you think he looks really good, you can always like have a very restrictive diet and work out a lot and like get some muscle and get a coach and get whatever and not touch steroid and like if you don't touch any steroids perhaps you'll have like the maximum beautiful natural physique that you can have, which will not be at the same level as someone with steroids and other assistance and like genetically blessed and whatever, but you'll still like have maximized like how naturally you can look good and be healthy too, because you know fitness we kind of forget, but fitness is mostly about health. It's not supposed to be something that's about just looking good. And that is another thing, you know, in this whole steroid epidemic. Fitness is about health, you know. And even though someone takes steroids, maybe their advice for a healthy lifestyle is worthwhile. You know, I think about Greg Doucette, who used to abuse steroids for a long time, and now is on HRT because that's another downside of being on steroids. You don't produce testosterone normally anymore, and then you need to get on something just to not be depressed. And that's the case for him. And like, how many years has he taken off his life? Does he regret? I do believe he does. Um, like, is he has a cautionary tale. Yes, he does look good for his age. Yes, like, and not even for his age. He's just super jacked. But it's like, it's nice to look good, but I think he thinks more about the years he can he took off his life doing that and trying to mitigate this this doom he brought upon himself. I think it's more of that than, oh yeah, I don't regret it because I look good. It's very glib to think like that. So I think that he has great advice on having a nice balanced diet and doing cardio. I think it's very important to do cardio and building muscle and the way you can do it and whatever. So I think that these people are not like completely they're not hypocrites for telling you like, I have done that. And all of our parents have made mistakes in their lives, and they don't want like their children to repeat the same mistakes they did. And they have like cautionary tales. They're not hypocrites for telling you those cautionary tales. And that's the same thing with old steroid users, that you talk to them about, oh yeah, I'd like to hop on some cycle, and then they're gonna be like, I've done so many cycles in my life, uh, and oh no, I just want to do one cycle. No, no, I wanted to do one cycle and I did 10 of them. So this is not an option. And right now I'm like on different medication, and my liver's probably gonna fail. So and maybe I'll die of a heart attack at 45 or 50. So some people have this experience, and like, yes, they lived tremendous things while being on steroids. Perhaps I hope it's still worthwhile for them to do that. But I think that even the people that like are saying like, oh yeah, it was worthwhile for the experience it gave me and stuff like that, it's not worthwhile just because of like the health consequences it has. And you can always you can always be attractive and build a nice kind of physique with you know just being natural, just dieting the right way, just doing the proper exercise, like just eating from diverse food groups, try to eat more proteins, things of that nature. It's not that difficult, but it is difficult to implement it because routines are very difficult to change. But the two things is like, yeah, you need to eat good, and you need to move more. That's the basis of like health. And this is fitness. Steroids isn't fitness. It's fitness related because it's something like PEDs in general just helps, you know, performance because it's performance enhancing drugs. But this is just the performance that is affected. But the health consequences, it's not fitness. It's not fitness. Being fit is not just being like able to perform sports or anything. It's being healthy and being able to like naturally and in a healthy way do the best you can with a lot of different domains. So that being said, I hope you like the video. It's a very long video about me just rambling about fitness. I'm not very good at that right now, but I'm trying to get better at just talking in front of the camera. Spread love and spray love. Bye bye.